What is up, my Lorcana goons, and welcome back to the weekly Friday Market Watch. Today is October 11th, here with Zach Stone, who joins us every Friday for the Market Watch. Zach has a booth at Frankensons in Southern California, which is basically where he vends full time. So Zach has a lot of experience in the Lorcana market. Zach, how are you doing this weekend?
I'm doing very well, Kevin. Thank you so much for asking. And hello to the Lorcana community. I really appreciate every single one of you. And yeah, we got a lot of talk about and going into like the, prefacing like everything we're going to go over. Like cards are cheap. Cards are really cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I'm excited. I remember last time around the honestly same time around a whole year ago when Rise of the Floodborn was already released and everyone was everyone was trying to get into the game and then started selling out because they didn't like it after that set came out. So yeah, I'm curious to know why, but today Ursula Deceiver of All still $20. This is one of the cards that's like gone up over time for sure. We've seen it below $15 even at certain points in time. Kevin, do you have some Ursula Deceiver of Alls now?
Oh yeah. I made sure to. I had a decent amount already, like when they were pretty cheap. But yeah, if anything, a lot of people have been asking me for the card recently. A lot of people have been asking me for the cold foils recently too. I think the cold foils are going up. Check this out. Lowest verified for a cold foil is 25.47. Now I feel like the last couple of weeks we've been seeing it at like 23.99, 24.99, and now there's only a couple at $25 because soon after these first three we hit R&R Gaming LLC. That's at 27.99. And that's it. Basically $28 now. The cold foils for these are going up, and the non foils are still $20, which is expected to see after a lot of people are hopping on that Emerald Steel wave after Zanzai took first place, and we're getting close to another DLC very soon. DLC Seattle is in 2 weeks, right? Pretty much, Zach Stone. So we're going to be there. Very excited for that. A lot of the meta decks are pretty affordable in my opinion, depending on like where you're coming from. Some of the legendaries are still going to be more than $20 though, like Sisu, the empowered sibling. Lowest verified is 21.25 today by Evolution Gaming, and cold foils seem to be there's 30 listings, and these are going up too. Check this out. These are now 28.85 lowest verified, and yeah, earlier in the month probably closer to 25, maybe a little less, and now Dominic's Dominion 28.25, and then after that 29.48 by Dorkden Mankato. So almost $30 for the cold foil Sisus. This is probably one of the best cards against the Emerald matchup, especially if you're playing a deck like Red Blue, right, Zach?
Yeah, this card is very like scary because Ursula can reveal the and sometimes you'll just see the be prepared and rip it out, or you see this and you can't avoid the inevitable. Prince John will still die into the cove under this character's ability, so the beast is going to come in handy. Of course, Pete's going to delay, then he be prepared, and we're seeing a lot of Sisu's being played in the deck because of that reason alone. The shift ability on the human Sisu is also kind of, it can still catch people off guard. And comboing it with Ice Block is still very powerful. But just don't forget that this character has an enchanted version, so that's like the max rarity. And I think those are floating around like $150 if I remember correctly. So yeah, just consider like what you're looking to get. I think the cold foils are fairly priced in comparison to what the normals are. You have some Sisus, Kevin?
I have a couple. I have a decent amount of inventory. If you guys are ever in the Carlsbad area, where I vend at the Ninja Exchange at the shops in Carlsbad on Sundays now. Some of you have gone to visit already. Really appreciate you for that. And if you guys are in that San Diego County area, come check us out. Have a Lorcana stuff and some other card game stuff if you're into other card games. But yeah, I do have some Sisus. I also have Clarabelle's, a very strong card, but definitely coming down in price from the hype. I think a lot. This is where you're gonna start seeing a lot of cards start coming down in price. Part of it is because we're getting very close to set six. Unless you're going to DLC Seattle, then the only other events that you plan on playing are probably set champs, which is just going to be every weekend from here until the end of October. So we're kind of in a weird like space because after that, um, there's no other DLCs to attend. There's just going to be the continental tournaments that are in January, I believe, January, February. And unless you have your invite or unless they confirm the last chance qualifier, then maybe you don't plan too much for that. And like at this point, you probably already have the cards you need for set champs. And if you are going to look for cards, you probably aren't going to order them online because it's going to take a while before they get to your doorstep, right? So I get the feeling you're going to see a lot of the card prices coming down. Um, Emerald is in a great space. Emerald Steel doesn't really play Clarabelle. The Emerald Amethyst decks do play Clarabelle. And there's some sleeper Emerald decks out there. I'm telling you. Good to see this card's still more than $20 because it's a card that draws cards, and I think it's still very good. I'm playing it in my blue green deck. Go check out our live streams. You can find those on YouTube and Twitch, and you can see the power of blue green with Clarabelle. Tower City Games has lowest verified for $20.95 for our Clarabelle's non-foil today, and the cold foils are going to be $30 still, which is not too bad. $32 by Card Shop and C. So I do want to go over Maleficent too, because Maleficent was going up in price on the cold foil last week. The non-foils are $24, and the cold foils are looking like they're still going to be more than $100. 105 actually. Wow. Yeah, they've been more than $100 since last week. I brought it up on Monday. And because I saw them at like 110, 120. And they were selling for more than $100, Zach. So today lowest verified is going to be actually 113 by Stone Drink Collects, and before that, all the non-verified sellers have it for more than $100. So if you've been collecting cold foils from the first chapter, the Maleficent Dragon has gone this high before. And it always does this when it becomes meta relevant, and I think a lot of it is because of the way you play Ruby Sapphire this format. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I remember this character hitting that price like a while, like a long time ago, and it dipped below like 65, I think, at one point, maybe $70. But it's good to see, like, yeah, healthy foils from the first chapter, like Maleficent Monstrous Dragon or Elsa Spirit of Winter, are really like impactful into the like collector space for sure. Lucky Dime is a card that not only is, I would say, in the collector space, it is also just a important card in the Ruby Sapphire deck as well. Stone Drink Collects is your lowest verified at $14. You can save a little bit of change and get some from some unverified sellers. But overall, buying four from one seller seems to be where I want to be. You don't need four copies of this card in your deck, but it's always good to have. Cold foils, however, I think are still like around 30-ish dollars. So yeah, 37, 39. Yeah, they're still up to almost $40. So
Yeah.
this is a strong card, Kevin. What do you think?
It's a staple in Sapphire strategies. And then we see all the item support coming out in the future. So this is the best item by far. Some of the items support that comes out reads very impactful, like play an item for free or grab an item from your deck potentially for free. And if you can play Lucky Dime for free, that's probably what you want to do. I don't think the Sapphire strategy of being able to play Lucky Dime and then gain 5 lore from Belle or Ariel or Tamatoa, that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So if you're a Sapphire player, a believer in the Lucky Dime strategy, then maybe paying this much isn't too bad for you. Obviously, if you have been picking up these cards when they were like $20, $25, it's a good spot. You got them at the right time. But metas always change and meta shifts always happen. And like when the new set comes out, everything goes down because no one knows what to play. Especially with no like online client, nobody really knows what to build. So I get the feeling we'll see these come down too. Again, especially because if you're not playing like DLC Seattle or set champs tournaments, like you don't really have a reason. There's not enough events, I think, to warrant some of this. They're getting some of the cards, but the Rapunzel is going to be $45 this week. Spellhold Games lowest verified today for a non-foil Rapunzel. Another great staple from the first chapter, like the Maleficent Monster Dragon or the Elsa, like you were saying. Cold foils are $69.95 today. Lowest verified by Enter Exile, then $71.99 by Corbin Cards, and $74.94 by PNC. So they jump around a lot in those lowest in these low listings right here at the bottom of the page, but I mean top of the page. But $69 is a pretty big discount compared to 75, 76 right there if you want to get a cold Rapunzel this week. Robin Hoods, these have been going down a little bit since September. Now that we're in October, these are going to be as low as 38.08 by First Capital Gaming. That's going to be the lowest verified, but you have some non-verified sellers who have near mints like Pokeball Ninja for $35 with $1 shipping. So not too bad. Oh, check this out. Carrot Cake cards, he got 4 of them for you ready to go. So if you need a playset of Robin Hoods, $36 with only $1 shipping, that'll save you some money as opposed to having to buy it from multiple different sellers. And cold foils are finally not the same price as the non-foils. Remember that for a long time, Zach? They both were like 35 or 10 to $40. Now the cold foils are actually expensive. They're going to be 50 bucks basically for a near mint. Insane Egyptian has them for 49 at 24, shipping included. Good to see that they finally people are finally respecting the cold foil Robin Hood.
For sure. This character is still a strong statted character. I I s- I'm still waiting for the Robin Hood deck to to do something, especially like during set chat month.
Mm,
You can see a lot of like, theme decks start to like come out. A lot of people that are working on decks like that still try to play them at like a high level. I can see a Robin Hood Green Steel deck do well. And speaking of Green Steel doing well, this character is probably the biggest carry of them all
hmm
for that deck. It is the Diablo Devoted Herald, and sitting around a $32 price point today for your normals. You can buy a couple there, but they're kind of all over the place, even with the amount of listings they have. Seems to be something that will slowly go back up as more people tend to buy this card. And cold foils might be above like the $45 mark, if I remember correctly.
a little bit
We
cheaper,
have,
41 with $1.50 shipping by two gorillas. But you're
yeah,
right, actually. Next verified is basically 45.
yeah, so they kind of fluctuate, and to be fair, there's only so many you can buy at a discounted price,
Oh well,
and they're
yeah.
still all over the place.
Yeah, at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bottom of the
So,
page, they start to hit 50 bucks already. Yeah, it's
mhm.
pretty interesting. This card's so good. Like I can't believe people were not respecting this in the beginning of the format. This card's not going anywhere. So I'm so glad that I have my copies of Diablos, and yeah, I'm not gonna get rid of them anytime soon. Prince Naveen has been just tumbling down. Check this out, still going down to as low as 12.99 with $1 shipping by Andy's Lorcana Trove, non-verified seller with 100% rating. If you want to get a discount right there, because lowest verified is 15.49 by Card Titan, so you can save like $2 right there from going to that person instead. But yeah, definitely more than a lot of the Prince and Naveen's available. If you watch our market watches, then we've talked about this in the beginning of the format. How cards will just come down in price when they become like not as relevant in the meta. And Prince Naveen's still used. It's just it's an uninkable character. Not many decks play too many of him either. So cold foils are going to be 23.94. There's two of them right here by WCS Gaming. That's not a bad price at all. Less than 25 for cold foil. Prince Naveen's, Mufasa, Ruler of Pride Rock. These are super cheap today too. 12.69. Wow. Yeah. Highest sale price was like more than $40 for the non-foil, and that was in the beginning of the format. And things have kind of cooled down, and yeah, we kind of realized that Mufasa isn't as good as we thought he was at first. The cold foils are 21.98 health points, has 4 of them ready for you right there. But it's still like a card that you can play one of in your deck though. Like still sometimes that card where you slap it on like turn 8, and if your opponent doesn't get rid of it, it feels like GG, right? You get 2 turns almost. Fishbone Quill, more staples to go over. Lowest verified is 9.45 now. Okay, almost $10. Good to see that. I think Sapphire is just very important right now in the meta and next format too. If you're planning on playing it for set 6, maybe start picking up your Sapphire stuff right now. Lowest non-verified Universal Games, 7.41 with $1.50 shipping, almost $9 as well for your non-foil Fishbones. And cold foils still expensive. First chapter cold foils very expensive, 21.24 Omega Gaming, or 22.75 by Card Cravers. Love to see that. Maui, look how cheap Maui's gone down, Zach. They're at less than 15 bucks today. From some non-verifieds.
Wow. Yeah, Maui is just a character though that still remains staple to this day in a lot of Ruby Sapphire and Ruby Amethyst lists. We don't see a lot of listings. Like we have one seller right here with 5 copies at a time. Outside of that, you're having to spend money through different sellers, which means you're getting them at different times. Always keep that in mind when you're buying online, but in person at shops, you get to just kind of get them all in person, and if their inventory is well stocked, then you're gonna, you know, hit the jackpot, I would say. Cold foils are just about $20 and up. I do see a verified seller with one copy at 25 bucks. I'm curious to see, like, where more copies land. If they're all spread out through each individual seller, then getting this in time for a DLC would means you have to order about by this weekend, just to ensure that they arrive and ready, for you to be ready for this tournament.
Yeah, it is always helpful to go to a local game store instead, see if they have the copies there, and also take your trades to locals and try and trade with people. This is a trading card game, and I'm not the only one who has noticed. I've for sure noticed that a lot of people don't trade in Lorcana. It's not like at least compared to like other trading card games that I've seen. Like I don't see as many people going up to you and asking for your trade binder, or it's not like a super regular thing for people to want to trade. And I think people are trying to build the collections. I totally get that. But I feel like I always have to initiate the trades, which is something I'm not entirely used to. I'm so used to people going up to you and being like, "Do you have trades? Do you have trades? Do you have trades?" And maybe it's just the community because some people are still very new, right? But yeah, look at strength, bro. Just going up in price. Earlier in the month, $4 to $5. Today, lowest verified 614 by Randus Collective. They have two of them for you, and they kind of stick around that $650 mark. Righteous Gaming has 43 of them, so if you need any play sets, you can get them all from Righteous Gaming right there. But yeah, strength is more than a $6 rare now, which is really cool. And cold foils are almost 15 bucks today. Health points TCG $13. They have three of them. Then it jumps to 15 by Legend City. Then it jumps to 16 by SoCal Shop. Wow. So okay. Yeah, these are like almost 16, $15 I would say for sure for this cold foil staple. Strength of a Raging Fire. Daisy Ducks, very cheap today if you want to pick some up for maybe somebody who wants to play an aggro deck. Metamorphic Cards has them for $5.99. That's only $6. And at the beginning of the format, these were like $15, $20 because of how hyped Hyper Aggro was. And at the beginning of every format, there's always a Hyper Aggro deck that ends up being really hyped. That's potentially very good. So if you want to play Hyper Aggro at the beginning of next format, why not pick up your daisies right now when they're as low as $5 for the non-foil and $14 for the cold foil by Card Cravers. Then Metamorphic Cards has another cold foil for $13.98 as well. Daisy's very good, but we've figured out how to play around it now. Right? Is that what happened?
Yes, there's also some decks that are coming out of like the woodwork, like the Amber Amethyst Mufasa deck, and a lot of other decks just kind of like condense more of their cards with a lot of characters, so it just gives you a lot more free cards. Also, yeah, the amount of answers in certain decks, plus the combination of cards to be able to out it. And a lot of decks can also afford to give up a little bit of a lore lead early on because they're very good at stabilizing. So, although Daisy being very well statted, you do have to play her at the right time. And sometimes turn one is obviously the best play. But with certain decks, if you can be as aggressive as possible with other characters, Daisy Duck tends to be like something that every you basically put them on lethal every turn by playing the character. And Daisy Duck's one of those cheap cards that you can always kind of play alongside other cards, and get the most value for.
A very good game closer, Daisy Duck. Yes, because when you're like when you're fighting to just stick characters on the board so you can quest to get to 20, Daisy Duck is one of those characters that's like, well, you need to have something like Brawl or Sisu, like Ruby cards, right? And or if it is exerted, the 4 willpower is a very big difference as opposed to playing like a Lilo or something. So you like early game, late game, Daisy Duck gets the job done, which is good. That's why I feel like if you are someone who's ever gonna play like an aggro strategy, that the Daisy Dukes are good to have in your arsenal. Prince John still going up in price. These are more than $5 now, is what it's looking like. Lowest verified is 433 with $1.27 shipping. So about $5, but you're gonna pay more than that if you're buying them online. But in person, definitely a $5 rare now. Emerald definitely solidifying itself as one of the best decks in Lorcana now that we have like a consistent draw and discard package, which is crazy. Because now you can really combine it with like every color. I'm telling you, Prince John discarding with Sudden Chill, Hypnotize. We don't talk about Bruno. Just insanely powerful. Also has wards, so it lets you sing Under the Sea very effectively because you have ward characters in your deck like Muses and Prince John. No wonder the cold foils are $16 by SoCal Shop, lowest non-verified. 17.44 by Little Root Game, shipping included. That's almost $20 for a cold foil Prince John now. More staples, Hiram Flavorsham. These are keeping a consistent price of around $2 to $3. Rennis Collective has them for $2.25 with the $1.27 shipping, and they kind of stick around $2.50 with that extra shipping cost. So buying online, you're probably gonna pay more than like $4 in person, probably $3 for this non-foil rare, and the cold foils are still gonna be more than $20, $23 by one TCG game. So yeah, you can see how staples just maintain their price. I think Flavorsham is going to be the draw engine for Sapphire for a cool minute. Speaking of draw engine, I really like Doc. I think this card is something that needs to be respected in the meta or in the future of Lorcana. The card says draw 2 cards, and I think it's pretty good, especially lately since we've been seeing people find success with that Ruby Steel deck list. That Ruby Steel deck is really cool, actually. I think it's something that should be explored if you're someone who likes like a more aggressive approach to the game. It has some really cool lines of play. It lets you play cards like Doc. And lowest verified today is going to be 131 with a $1.27 shipping, so that's about $3. And then they start to kind of stick around that. Yeah, they basically stick around that price, $3 for your non-foil rare Doc from Shimmering Skies. And cold foils aren't going to be too much more expensive, $3.94 with a $1.27 shipping, or $4.10 with a $1.27. So about $5 to $6. They do start to hit $6.69 here by the game capital. And they have been going up in price. Yeah, these were as low as $2.21, and now they're as high as $3.98. So from $2 to $4 or $5 for the cold foil Doc Bold Knights. Yeah, I like the card, man. It has a lot of application, and I always find myself building decks with this card. I don't know about you though.
Well, I'm always like a big advocate of playing this card in the Amethyst Steel decks. But yeah, even the Amber Steel aggro deck with Pride Lands was also seen play in too.
That's crazy. That's
Just
actually
something
kind of
to
crazy.
explore.
Rockstar Stitch and Pride lands
Yeah,
with this. Wow, I like that. It's a 1/3 too. The
yeah.
1/3 body's pretty good for questing. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no,
just yeah.
it definitely does a lot too. And I think the biggest part of Lorcana is that there is not the like as you said mentioned before, this the lack of a online client, the lack of events coming up, people have time to explore different things, try different ideas. And I love that there is still a online community that creates this sort of environment.
Yeah,
It's my favorite part.
with no like official online client, like I feel like it's the meta slowed down, so it's hard to like really see like decks like this flourish, because you don't get like the same amount of like data or like games or like presented to us or whatever. But like it's always fun to see them like come out of like the woodworks like out of nowhere, like the tournaments and stuff. And then like realize that like Lorcana is a game where you can do you and find success. You know what I mean? And I wholeheartedly believe that. Like is like Doc gonna be a tier 0 card? Like is it ever gonna be like the tier 1 meta deck? Who knows? But the fact of the matter is that you can cook in this deck and really get spicy with it. And we've seen it in the past, so that's really cool to see. Some staples before we call it a day here. We got Tipo Growing Sun. These non-foils are $1 now. And it's really interesting to see because you see these cards come out and you see them sell for like cents, quarters. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's plenty of people, game shop owners, people who have these in their bulk and their trades, and your friends are looking through your cards and they say, "Oh, I need some T-pos," and you just give it to them. But and you can that's perfectly fine because I've done that too. But if you're a vendor or something, like this is just very good bulk right here. These are literally almost these are $2 if you're gonna buy it online. If you're gonna buy one T-po online, you're gonna have to pay 99 cents plus a $1.27 shipping by most lowest verified standards. And pretty much everybody's selling it for at least 87 cents JDHD cards, lowest verified. They have four of them ready for you right there. So you're definitely gonna have to pay at least $1 for T-pose, maybe even $2 soon, considering Chernobog followers also hit those prices. We have lowest non-verified here for 39 cents, but you still got to pay that extra shipping cost, so it's still about $1.50. So plenty to go around, but T-pose are now $1. Alongside a lot of these other like the rares and super rares in the game, you have Lady Tremaine that sits at like $1 with that extra shipping cost, and then we also have some other banger cards like Bonsai or the Muses. A lot of these cards are about $1 on the dot, or like plus the shipping. So I would say around $2 to $3 what you value at them. But in general, the price of a lot of like meta staples is pretty cheap this week. And Zach, well, why do you think that is?
Yeah, the set champs is probably something to like think about too. There is a lack of attendance in these season set champs, and there's a lot of different reasons for why that could be. However, the point is that like we are having a DLC come up in the next couple of weeks. We did see some cards that were on the cheaper end of things dramatically increase, and not even just enchanted versions of them. You know, you you did say it earlier, but like muses, we don't talk about Bruno. These are cards that just kind of like gone up when the shift in the meta and Green Steel's dominance and performance into DLC Vegas happened. So it is imperative that we like actually look at some of these cards that are on the screen here and just kind of like consider anything that like what is potential to be. Like I even like to consider the legendary Triton to be something to think about too. If you have like a location deck and you're just kind of like playing like a Prince John's and a bunch of warded characters with a bunch of locations, you could just start questing and not have to worry about them getting challenged. So there's a lot to consider. And just for the fact that like the demand in this game is still at an all-time high outside of that, it gets me thinking that there's just more people playing like amongst themselves and in their own friend group too.
Sorry, I think there's a lot of people who play the game for fun, and collect, and aren't necessarily like in that tournament space, But like, you see them at locals, and I'm sure they come by the booth. And oftentimes, when I'm just doing my thing now at Ninja Exchange, like there's little kids who come by and like they recognize like the characters, and I'll ask the parents like, "Oh, like do you guys collect Pokemon? Have you guys heard of Lorcana before?" And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we've heard of it," and she knows what it, or like the kid knows what it is or something. So I'll be like, oh, here, take a Simba, or like, oh, what's your favorite Disney character? And you just give them a cold foil or something, and then I feel like that expands the potential of the game so much, and potential of some of these cards, because then you start cooking, you start playing cards like Triton Legendary in your deck, or if you're me, you start playing the color combination of blue and green, so you can cook with cards like King Candy. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential in Lorcana right now. Obviously, not having events kind of slows the game down in terms of like what cards people are going to be testing with or prioritizing to use, and obviously not having an online way to play makes an impact on that too. So if we're not going to have like an official online client in Ravensburg, I would at least like to have more events to test my spice at. Because some of the locals are cool, like local game stores are cool, but at the same time, like me being the competitive player I am, I know what it's like to take like a meta deck, or even a deck that I'm trying to cook to be like tier 0 because I wanted to beat the meta, and then I play against somebody's like Beauty and the Beast deck, or I play against somebody's like themed Family Madrigal deck, and they're cooking, they're building their own spice, but they're not there to like win a DLC like I am in that sense. So sometimes like the local game store experience isn't meant for someone like me, and that's perfectly fine. I'll take a themed deck when I when I can. But it would be really cool to have more competitive tournaments so that we don't have to do that, because one of the fears that I have in Lorcana, and this happens with other games too, is you have too many competitive players that go to a local game store, and then the not as competitive players don't feel as welcomed, because they start to think, why am I going to enter this tournament if I'm just going to lose to the guy playing the $500 Emerald Steel deck all the time, And personally, I don't think that's how it always happens. I think you can win with like a bunch of different decks, right? But the point is that it does become a little bit polarizing. So, and I do think there should be more events for us $500 Emerald Steel players, so that we don't necessarily create like a polarizing vibe at some of the local game stores. Because I'm sure you've witnessed it too, Zach. Some local game stores are a little bit more, I would say, like social, not necessarily there for the competitive aspect than others, right?
Yeah, and it's no, I don't take anything personal from it at all, but like I sometimes consider just staying home and testing amongst like my friend group and testing circle rather than going to game stores. But every once in a while I like to get my reps in and play against, some other people that I normally play against, because I don't want to like warp my mindset into always thinking that my opponents are going to be on their A game, even though I should expect that. I do need to kind of play against real people too. And then that means just playing in person. So as much as I would prefer the online client as more of like there for the convenience factor, I do like to kind of like work myself out and go out to a local and just play in person every once in a while.
Yeah. If not no online client, more like premier type events, because there's a lot of people who wanna like test their spice or even go to a DLC, but they just couldn't because there's not that many, not that many to go to or choose from. But it is the first round, the first year of the event series for Lorcana, and I am excited. We've been at the game for a year plus. First chapter booster boxes are still available online, sometimes still on the shelf as well for some of the local game stores. And today, low is verified. We have an opened box by Top Choice Gaming. Shout out you guys for 240. And after that, the closed sealed box is going to be 249.90 with shipping included by KS Collectibles. They have two of them for you. So first chapter boxes are now $250. Yes, you heard that here first, my Lorcana goons. $250. First chapter booster boxes are back at 250. Not 300 yet. They were shooting for around 200 earlier in September. There was a bunch of rumors of restocks and all that, and they're at 250 again. We'll see where they land. I want to go over these playmats real quick before we call it a day, Zach. These are the playmats from the first chapter. Sorry, these playmats from the very first store championship series, which took place during the Inklands format. I like how the non champion playmat sells for more than the champion Stitch playmat, actually. And I think it has to do with the fact that if you didn't win the champion one, maybe you don't want to buy the champion one, right? Because it kind of feels like you'd be a phony or something. But yeah, the non-champion ones sell for less than 200, about 190 from the recent sales comp right there on October, at least on TCG Player, anyways. And right here on September 8th, somebody bought the Stitch one for 216. Before that, they were 150, but they kind of stick. They're at this $200 price, and I don't think they really sell on TCG Player. I think we got to go to like 130 point for this. Okay, so we're on 130 point, and honestly, it doesn't look like many of them are selling. Look at this, on October 5th, somebody bought one for 850, never used, but it's not in the plastic thing. So that's 85, sorry, not 850, $85. Wow, that is really cheap. For the champion mat. And then this one though, this one's in the sealed plastic thing still. This one sold for $200, 199 on October 10th. So okay, so the champion mat sells for like $200, and we have some non-champion mats. These are all the way in August though, selling for around 120. So not too many recent comps. They're kind of everywhere, but definitely around $200 or less for these playmats, the set championship playmats. And the Ursula ones sell for even less. These are only like $100. So cheap, so cheap. We have listed. We have plenty of listings here as low as 118 by Tier One Kokomoto right there, and then we have the actual Rockstar Stitch card selling for around 370, 369. We have LT Bruno. They have three of them right there ready to go. Then Strike Zone Online, it jumps to 380, and they have four of them right there. And this is the first set championship promo. It is Rockstar Stitch, so I think that's the reason why it's the most expensive. Where do you think this is going to end up though?
Well, I I could see it easily coming back up to around $500 in like more of a shorter period of time. In a longer period of time, I would hope there's a world where it can go up even more than that. But realistically, like 500 seems to be like where it's gonna settle for a very long time. I don't see this card being bought out unless there's like a um Rockstar Stitch deck that gets very popular and starts to, be in play, and that will definitely make this card go up in price, I believe, dramatically. But who knows? There is some people exploring Pride Lands lists right now, and the meta's still shaping up. I'd like to see this card see play again. Do remember it from the first chapter days.
It's a good card. It's a very good card, and I'm always gonna appreciate the ability to go Stitch New Dog turn one, Lantern turn two, Shift Rockstar Stitch turn three, Sing Whole New World. So insane, such an insane play. I missed first chapter. The Maleficent playmat from the first chapter. Lowest listing is now 279 by Endless Evolution, then $300 by King Queen Gaming, and yeah, most recent sales right here more than $200, almost 250. That people have been buying this mat for in September on TCG Player. So if you still have this mat sealed from the first chapter, they're pretty expensive, and who knows what they're gonna stay at. I want to go over the Mirabel Madrigal foil promo that you get for this set champ series. Just coming down in price, man. Lowest verified is $55.99 by BK Games US, and lowest non-verified is $55 as well. And there's just so many. There's so many on the market now. This is barely the first weekend of set champs as well. So we still have what 3 more weekends to go. That many more listings to see land on TCG Player. I think at first I saw people say this is going to be as cheap as $30, $40, and I think they might be right. I think it's going to stick around like 40, 45, maybe 50. But again, this is barely the first week that we got them, and they're already as low as 55 for that enchanted promo. It's just unusable too. It's more of a collector piece at that point. But congrats to anybody who wins it. You know, definitely got to earn it because it is not easy. And now we have Elsa's. I want to go over the enchanted Elsa today because there is a seller right here, Deck Core, $938. They have 950 of them ready for you to go right here, Zach Stone. So if you've ever wanted to spend around $1 million, and yes, that is how much it costs because we actually checked it earlier. It's around $860,000 for 950 enchanted Elsas. You can go ahead and do that. What do you think, Zach? Is this a mistake, or does somebody really have that many listed?
More than likely a mistake. I would very much doubt that that's what they meant to list, but who knows? Because I do know that there are people that tend to wow, that's a lot of money. I do know people that they have employees that work for them, they this stuff, right? And somebody may not know what exactly the card is, but some people are told, "Hey, list it as the lowest verified seller and be higher than the unverified seller." And that's what they were told, and that's what they did. And they might have 950 copies of the normal Elsa Spirit of Winter, which would still be a lot as well. But for it to be all enchanted copies, that's incredible. That's incredible. And if that's the case, you can buy it right now for $892,000 and then $12. Yeah, yeah, that's a lot of money. But I'm not too sure if this is like a mistake or not. It'd be crazy if somebody tried it, but at least for now, we are looking at around a $950 price range for Elsa Spirit of Winter Enchanted, which is still crazy. A lot of people are like happy about this. I know that.
Zach, how are you feeling about Tinkerbell Giant Fairy?
I'm thinking that right now it's probably not a good time to be picking them up, but still, from the first chapter, it's hard to really like double down on something like that. We could see it go up even more. We could see more people be willing to buy it. But we always have to consider and keep in mind that Ravensburger has said
Mhm.
that when they stop printing, they will announce it, and they
Yeah,
haven't announced anything.
yeah.
So they could keep printing more of this set.
Yep, definitely, definitely. They could always just keep printing it more, but in the meantime, the enchantments from the first chapter are still pretty expensive. That Tinkerbell's still almost $400, man. And I think a lot of it has to do also with the fact that you play it in the Emerald Steel deck. But that is going to be all for our Market Watch on Friday. Be sure to tune in, like, comment, and subscribe if you support the content and you appreciate what we're doing over here. Every Monday and Friday, we go over the card prices, the meta trends, and the Lorcana news. So thank you so much, my Lorcana goons. Zach, anything you want to say before we call it away?
Guys, thank you so much for watching the Friday Market Watches. We have other forms of content as well as other ways for you guys to support the channel. We have the Goon shirts as well as our promo code on pristineprotectiontcg.com. Use our promo code Goons10 on any of your purchases there and
Hmm.
save 10% off your order. And again, it does help the channel. As always, guys, stay tuned to Lorcana Goons.
And we'll see you goons next time.